wish him all the best in his return to be governor of Indiana. Madam President, I rise to say a few words about Senate Bill 1351 and ask for its passage as amended. But before I formally ask, I just want to know what this is all about. And that is, across our country, there are institutions that say they will help with your troubled teen. In fact, this has become known as the troubled teen industry. Now, some of these institutions are long established, huge amounts of oversight, the best practices, and the best results. And we certainly need these types of places to assist families when they are challenged in the family setting by the difficulties experienced by their children. But we also have a whole series of companies that have sprung up, whether for-profit or non-profit, without the expertise, and saw an opportunity to make a lot of money and jump into a space without the proper foundation for actually being beneficial to teens. We had an experience with one of our Oregon children who died at just such a facility. And one of the individuals, really the individual, who proceeded to draw attention to this largely unregulated, troubled teen industry is Paris Hilton. Paris wrote a memoir, and she shared in it, as summarized by a summary of her book, that her childhood was shattered by 2 years of strip searches, isolation, beatings, restraints, and brainwashing in this troubled teen institution. Her story is not alone. There are multiple stories of broken bones, of sexual assaults, of solitary confinement, even stories, who, as our child in Oregon, stories of them dying in these institutions. So we found that there really is a lack of detailed information about what's going on across America. So 12 Democrats and 12 Republicans have come together to sponsor this bill to say we need to understand and therefore have recommendations on how to avoid the horrendous outcomes at some of the institutions. And so this bill calls for just such a study. This bill proceeds to say that we want our kids safe. We want our kids respected. We want our children to have the very best care. I am struck by the tragedy that occurs when parents searching for help for their children strive to send them to a safe place and end up sending them to a very dangerous place. This is unacceptable. So this bill says, let's get a complete map of these institutions. Let's understand where they are and what they look like and what they cost and how long kids are staying there and how children are treated, how they are treated in ways that are inappropriate, and how, in some institutions, they're gold star institutions, how their best practices should be shared across the nation, and how we should inform decision makers and policy makers across the country with the findings. So that's the simple story of this bill. And I'm pleased that I'm able to come to the floor now with a lot of support. Senator John Cornyn, the lead on the Republican side, a lot of help from Tommy Tuberville, Senator Cassidy, who chairs or as ranking member of HELP, was involved in helping this bill go forward. And I want to thank the information we received from the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranches, an institution that is highly respected and that has been in operation since 1957, providing support and help to literally thousands of young boys. And actually, that's the type of information we want collected, institutions that are working well, that have those best practices. So, Madam President, As if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions be discharged from further consideration of Senate Bill 1351 and the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report.
S. 1351, a bill to study and prevent child abuse in youth residential programs and for other purposes.
Without objection, the committee is discharged and the Senate will proceed to the measure.
Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that the Merkley-Cornyn substitute amendment at the desk be agreed to, the bill be amended, as amended, be considered read a third time and passed, and the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. And I failed to mention my appreciation for the conversations I've had with Senator Rick Scott, who helped facilitate a dialogue with the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranches and their contributions to how we should go forward. So with that, I'm really excited that we are getting this bill done. Thank you. We'll hopefully the House will be able to expedite it, and we will start to understand an industry that we need to understand and America needs to understand so children are helped, not hurt. I note the absence of quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.